أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف خلق الله سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وصحبه الأخيار المنتجبين وعلى جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي أما بعد يقول الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وترى كل أمة جاثية كل أمة تدعى إلى كتابها اليوم تجزون ما كنتم تعملون. Quran chapter 45 verse number 28. And you will see every community on its knees on that day. Every community will be summoned to its record of deeds. They all will be told, this day you will be rewarded for what you used to do. We're continuing our series of celebrations in this very beautiful month, celebrating the very beautiful occasions of the birth anniversaries of the lights. The light of Hussein, salamullahi alayh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Muhammad. The light of Abil Fadl Abbas, salamullahi alayh. And tomorrow, inshallah, the light of Al-Imam As-Sajjad Ali ibn al-Hussein Zayn al-Abidin, salamullahi alayh. Our sixth Imam, Al-Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam, would say about Abbas, he would say, كان عمنا العباس نافذ البصيرة صلب الإيمان. Our uncle Abbas had a penetrating insight and a firm faith. جاهد مع أخيه الحسين عليه السلام وأبلى بلاء حسنا ومضى شهيدا. He fought alongside his brother Hussein, peace be upon him, and he fought well and died as a martyr. Abbas was this person who had a sharp insight, meaning that he was a person who was not confused in times of confusion. He was a person who would see very clearly when it is foggy to so many people around. He knew what the right thing is. He knew what the right thing to do was. Abbas had a firm faith, and he showed with his own sacrifice his consolation to Hussein salamullahi alayhi in his tragedies. Abu al-Fadl Abbas, peace be upon him, he did perform his duties that were required of him. He fulfilled them without hesitation. And this is one thing that we learn from Abbas. To fulfill your duty, to not think twice when there is a responsibility that is arising, where there is something that you have to do, that you do it. On the other hand, one might speak of the other quality. There's one quality of support and loyalty. That's what Abbas embodied. There's the other quality of khidlan in Arabic, meaning what? Meaning to fail your responsibilities. In other words, means to sit on the fence when you're supposed to do something, when you're supposed to make a change. Generally, in any situation that arises, any challenge that you would be having, let's say any issues that we would be having as a community, generally people's stances are one of three. One of three. If there's any situation, let's say a situation of someone raising a banner of reformation, of reform. I want to reform something. I want, for example, to abolish slavery. I want, for example, to work towards an equitable community or society. I want to make sure that the minorities have their rights and their rights are respected as humans. In a community where there is no or none of these values, or these values are not respected. Someone raising a banner of reform. Generally, people are split into three groups. One is the group of supporters, those who stand by these values, those who maybe lead this reformation. The others are those who fight it, who confront it. These are the corrupters. They want to corrupt it. And there are others that are in the middle. Not here, not there. Neither do I want to support, nor do I have any interest in fighting. So I sit in the middle. So if we apply this, for example, to the events that took place on the 10th of Muharram, or the events that led to what happened in Karbala in the year 61 Lil-Hijrah, with Imam al-Hussein and the tragedies that befell him, okay? People were three groups. Some were whom? Some were those who were fighting Hussein. Hussein's banner was a banner of reformation, as he said it in his letter to Muhammad bin Hanafiya, his brother. He would say, I did not rise as someone who's seeking injustice or power or wealth or anything like that. I made my stance. I moved to seek what? Reformation in the nation of my grandfather Rasulullah. That's what he said. That was his slogan. That was his project. And people were divided. Some decided to what? To fight Imam, to fight him, to stand facing him, to block him. Others, no, they decided to fight alongside him. They chose his side, to support him, to offer any help they can. And the others were in the middle, sitting on the fence. Some books of history tell us that there were some groups of people in Karbala, but they were by the hills, standing on the hills. Their hearts were with Hussein. They loved Imam Hussein. They claimed, their hearts were with Hussein. And they would encourage people, go support Hussein. But they themselves, they stood on the hill. We say in here in English, they sat on the fence. In Arabic, literally, they stood on the hill. What does it mean? In Arabic, this is a phrase to say that someone stands on the hill. Meaning that they don't have to be down there at the valley to be one of the two parties fighting. No, they sit up there and they watch. They don't have to take parts. Someone said in the past, at the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen and Muawiyah, he said, well, praying behind Ali is certainly correct and valid and pure and good. But the food of Muawiyah is more delicious. But look, sitting on the fence, that man said literally, standing on the hill is safer. Playing it safe. I'm neither there nor here. I have no interest in any party. Okay? This is sitting on the fence. This is what I'm calling failing your responsibility. Usually when we say khidlan, someone failed their responsibility, we usually refer to those who decide to sit on the fence. Obviously, one could say that khidlan, failing their responsibility, also applies to the first group, the group who fight against the value or the reformation. But generally, when we say khidlan applies to those people who did not take the stance of fighting the reformation, but actually what? They didn't do anything. They stood by the fence. Okay, they sat on the fence and they stood at the hill. And this is a general phenomenon that we see. Most of the people, brothers and sisters, most of the people, you notice it, observe it, most of the people, they are either of the first group or the second group. Sorry, most of the people are neither the first group nor the second group. Few are those who choose to sacrifice themselves for the values they're fighting for. Few are the people who spearhead this reformation. Few. Few are the people also who fight against the reformation. Notice in Karbala, for example. In Karbala, Imam Hussein had 70 people, 100 people, against 30,000 people. So the people who stood with Hussein were a few. And those who actually participated in the killing, they were also not the whole 30,000. A chunk of them. Most of the people were where? Where? By the fence, just sitting on the fence. I'm neither here nor there. Majority of the people do that. And this is called khidlan. When there is a reformation movement, when there is a certain improvement, a project to improve something, no matter what it is about, it could be in terms of religious activities, it could be in politics, in social activities, social activism, anything. Generally, you would see this. There are some people who are willing to sacrifice everything they have. And there are others who are willing to sacrifice everything they have against it. and the majority sit on the fence. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made this world in such a way that there is cause and there is effect. If you want to achieve a project, if you want to achieve a certain goal, you have to observe the conditions of it. If you have a certain aim, a certain goal, and you have no support, that would cause a failure of your movement, a failure of your project. You would not be able to achieve your goals. So one might ask, what are the effects of failing your responsibilities? What are the effects of sitting on the fence? Why is sitting on the fence bad? I'll mention two things, two main things. Why, when you see a certain banner of righteousness, a certain leader calling for something that is correct and true, a certain reformation movement, doesn't have to be a political, a big kind of political movement, doesn't have to be a certain prime minister who's leading something, or a president, or a Maulana, a community here, someone suggesting something. Sitting on the fence when you see issues, when you see problems in the community, means, number one, that there will be a failure to that reformation. That movement to reform, to make things better, will fail. And that's the law. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made this world like that, by the way, brothers and sisters. Sometimes the ghaib intervenes, but generally, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it in such a way that if you don't provide an idea the right support, it will not succeed. In the material sense, obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts the amal, accepts the intentions. This happened to prophets even. Let me mention examples to you, okay? Examples of failures that were due to people sitting on the fence. There's a saying that says, numbers overcome courage. Bring one person who's so courageous, willing to go to the end to do the right thing. But then if he or she is outnumbered by those who are opposing him or her, they will not achieve their goal. Abu Dharr, the great companion of Rasulullah and Amirul Mu'mineen, Abu Dharr was exiled off Medina to the desert, and he was made to what? Starve and die of thirst and starvation and hunger. That's how Abu Dharr died. Why? Where were the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of Muslims at the time? What were they doing? What were they busy with? That's an example. Muslim bin Aqil in Kufa. Why was Muslim bin Aqil killed? We all know this by heart. Because people failed him. Most of the people of Kufa, suddenly they decided that I want to sit on the fence. I want to fail my responsibilities. I want to stand on the hill and see what happens, and I want to stay safe, secure. Imam al-Hussein, salamullahi alayhi, what happened to him in Karbala? The tragedies that befell him were the result of what? Majority of the people decided to sit on the fence. Many people decided to do that. The prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, also when they don't have supporters, they would not be able to achieve their goals. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Quran chapter 11 verse 91, قالوا يا شعيب ما نفقه كثيرا مما تقول. These people talking to Prophet Shu'aib, they would say, they threatened, "O Shu'aib, we do not comprehend much of what you say, and surely we see you powerless amongst us. Were it not for your clan, we would have certainly stoned you, for you are nothing to us." These people are threatening Shu'aib with what? With stoning. They're saying, if you don't have your clan who support you, the Prophet of God, if he didn't have a clan to support him, he would have been stoned. Numbers are important in this sense. We see what Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen had to face as well. The godly project was supposed to be executed and implemented in his time, but it failed. Why? In the winter they would say it's cold. In the summer they would say it's hot. We were just in a battle, in a war, we're not interested in it. And then time went on and on and on, and Imam Salamullahi alayhi was killed eventually. And that project was delayed again. Imam al-Hasan was delayed again. Imam al-Hussein delayed again. Imam after Imam after Imam, the godly project is delayed. Why? Most of the people are sitting on the fence. Most of the people say, I have nothing to offer. I have nothing to do. I cannot do much. I cannot do anything. That's what happens. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in my humble understanding, is teaching us. If you want your Imam back, if you want that the Godly Project be implemented, lose that mentality. As long as this mentality is with you, you will never witness the Godly Project being implemented. Justice in the world, welfare. You will never see that. Us as a humanity, we need to evolve. We need to be mature. As a humanity, not just individuals, a few people here and there. Imam Salamullahi alayhi, the narrations tell us he is waiting for numbers. There's numbers that are required. What does this mean? A godly project requires cause and effect, requires certain factors to be met and respected. Another verse, that Prophet Lut, when he would meet his people, when he would resist his people, they would try to what? Have him approve their sins. He would say, Quran chapter 11 verse 80, قَالَ لَوْ أَنَّ لِي بِكُمْ قُوَّةً أَوْ آوِي إِلَى رُكْنٍ شَدِيدٍ. He responded, if only I had the strength or could rely on a strong supporter. The prophets of God, if they don't have a strong support, how can they achieve their goals? Rasulullah, in the beginning of the da'wah, in the beginning of the spread of the message, did he not rely on the wealth of Khadija? Did he not rely on the sword of Ali bin Abi Talib, Amir al-Mu'mineen, salamullahi alayh? So this is what we observe. Obviously, we need to derive lessons for us today. When we fail our responsibilities, what happens? The lesson that we learn really from all this, brothers and sisters, is what? Is that someone in the community, for example, who leads something, who takes an initiative, who proposes something, we need to support them. Anyone who lifts the flag of a reform, of improving something in the community, whatever that is, we should stand by her, by him. We should support them. We should stand with them, next to them. Ask them, what do you need of me? If someone, for example, proposed, let's say, some improvements to the Quran curriculum in our schools, go and listen and sit. Okay, what do you have to offer? How can I help? Support. I'm not saying you will not fight. None of you, inshallah, will be on that side, definitely. I'm approaching those who are in the middle. Those who are in the middle, myself maybe included. Okay? Don't suffice yourself to be sitting on the fence. No, be of the first people who show support. Someone who has some ideas, some suggestions. Well, we could improve our programs in such a way that we can, for example, attract people, improve, let's say, the participation or the engagement of the youth. Go and listen. Okay, how can we support you with this idea? Beautiful idea, brilliant. Someone who wants to step up to be, for example, part of the next executive committee in our community. Support them. Say, yes, inshallah, we will be with you. That's a beautiful initiative that you're trying to make or take. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. How are you? MashaAllah. So support them. Say again. MashaAllah. He's trying to have a conversation with me, this boy. Allah bless him. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Muhammad. Allah bless them all, inshaAllah. Okay? So this is one lesson we learn. Yeah? Again, I'm not saying, we want to free Palestine. That's not now our concern, our immediate concern. Here in the community, if we don't sort ourselves out, if we don't sort our own house, we can't go outwards and say, well, we want to fix the problem or the problems in the world. Fix your own problems. These are some lessons that we learn. If someone proposes something, listen to them. I personally have heard from so many people some thoughts, some ideas. That's the responsibility as well of the leaders. Are we lending our ears to the people? Are we hearing what the people are suffering from, what they're asking for, what they're suggesting? That's a responsibility. Anyone who is part of any leadership. It could be a club in the community. It could be a certain, the madrasa, for example. Yeah? How can we help? How can we support? If you have some ideas to fix something, to reform something, to improve, no one is perfect. We try to do our best, mashallah. May Allah bless the team who are leading. If you have something to offer to improve, go speak. Go speak to them. And it's their responsibility to see how they can help you and support you. These are some of the lessons that we learn. Okay? Some people have brilliant ideas, but unfortunately, sometimes these ideas, they get buried with time. Why? Either that they're not spoken, they're not said. I'm shy, I don't think I'll be listened to, and so on. And that's a responsibility. You should speak, should share, and then see what happens. Or that some people, for example, they don't take it seriously. Okay, we need to be serious about these things. The second issue, inshallah, I'll finish with this. The second issue, the second problem, the second effect of us failing our responsibilities, of us sitting on the fence, is that we would be aiding corruption to be in control. When you don't do your part, guess what you're creating? A vacuum. Guess who will fill that vacuum? Those who are more vocal. Guess who is most vocal? Corruption. Corruption. Huh? People who are morally corrupt, maybe. They have the platforms. Shaitan, mashallah, now is operating the whole world in a very smart way, in an AI way. That's one thing that we need to pay attention to in terms of education, in terms of politics, in terms of society, community, social issues, all that. The Holy Messenger of God, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, alludes to this about corrupt people taking over and influencing you and your families and influencing your community and corrupting it, because the corrupt people, when they gain control, they corrupt everything, all systems. Not just that, they corrupt the systems in such a way that not just the system becomes corrupt, the education system, for example, becomes corrupt. No, it becomes a system that generates corruption. Our educational system, if it is a system that does not take into consideration the values of Islam, it becomes a system that generates satanic thoughts. Same thing about politics. Same thing about economics. If it is not considering Islamic values, it becomes a system, or if the corrupt people take over, economy becomes a system that generates haram and corruption, generates the riba and creative usury. Rasulullah in that narration would say, لَتَأْمُرُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَلَتَنْهُنَّ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. You must enjoin what is right and forbid what is evil or what is wrong. Or otherwise, Allah will give power to the worst of you over the best of you. Do you know what happens then? The Prophet says, and then the best of you will call upon God. You will pray dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Allah, fix our affairs. But they will not be answered, because it will be too late. The point at which you could have made a change, that is now behind us. It's too late. Even if you're righteous, you're coming too late to say, I want to fix. This is one of the results of failing our responsibilities, one of the results of sitting on the fence. Even if you want to correct it later, it might be too late. This is what I understand from this narration of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the verse of the Quran that I started with, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that on the day of judgment, there's a type of judgment that is collective, that us as a community will be brought together. Yes, you have individual responsibility. Everyone will be asked about every single thing you've done individually. But also what? Collectively. يَوْمَ تَرَى كُلَّ أُمَّةٍ جَاثِيَةٍ. You will see that day every community on their knees. Allah will say what? This is the time you will be judged by what you have done as a community. That person is good, fine. That person is good, fine. That's your individual self. What about you as a community? What did you do as a community? Corruption will not punish only the bad people in the community. Corruption will not reach the people who, for example, were fighting the truth. Corruption will reach the people who stand or sit on the fence. Corruption will reach the people who even fought for the truth, because there was many people who sat on the fence. That's the result of sitting on the fence. That's how dangerous it is. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we're celebrating the birth of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas salamullahi alayhi, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, that He may allow us, insha'Allah, to be of those who walk on His footsteps, to be Abbasi in our insight, in our sharp vision and insight, recognizing what has to be done, what time things have to be done, and what has to be done by us as individuals and by us as a community, insha'Allah, so that we be a community that is preparing for the advent and the coming of Imam al-Zaman, salamullahi alayhi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. صلوات.